Today I'm going to be taking a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series Wave 1 Scarlett figure. Now this is the first release version of Scarlett, and there's a redeco version that has been made by Hasbro to answer some of the complaints that fans had about the first wave of these figures. A lot of fans felt that Hasbro had kind of taken the G.I. Joe military type designs for the characters and given them too much of a sort of dare I say Fortnite makeover. Now that's funny because I actually enjoy the game Fortnite, it's pretty cool, but I do agree with what some fans said. For example, when these G.I. Joe Classifieds first came out, first of all they were very hard to find, but when I heard they were making 6-inch G.I. Joes, I was ready to jump on board because I was a huge G.I. Joe fan growing up. But I didn't find the figures at retail very easily when they were first released. I thought, you know what, I'm not looking to pay extortionate eBay prices just to get these 6-inch figures, so I waited a while. Now what happened is Hasbro eventually did some redecoed re-releases, and those appealed to me more. Like, for example, they took a lot of the gold accents on characters such as Roadblock and Duke, and they muted them to make them look more military and more reminiscent of the vintage figures. So they did that with Scarlett, Duke, Roadblock and Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes was probably the most least visible change because they just took the red dot from off of his forehead and they fixed his knife sheath to make the knife able to slide in and out more easily. But I definitely wanted the redeco Duke without the red and the gold accents and the blue. Same with Roadblock. But Scarlett here, I think Scarlett's the third figure I got from G.I. Joe Classified. Or is she the second? Who did I get? I got Snake Eyes first. I think I might actually have got Scarlett as the second figure actually. And there's a reason why. Because once Hasbro released the redecos, I didn't like what they did to Scarlett. I think I actually like this colour scheme, because what they did to her is they made her, instead of the blue accents on her costume here, they made those black, and they repainted her face. And I think, to me, it just didn't look as good, because this one, I actually like the gold on this figure particularly, not with Duke and Roadblock, but with Scarlett I think it's okay. And I like her costume design, because of all the G.I. Joe characters, I've got to say, Scarlett probably had one of the worst costumes in all of G.I. Joe in terms of the figure. And I mean, that's even including some of the 90s stuff, like the neon coloured crazy stuff, or even Street Fighter G.I. Joe figures. I still think they look better than V1 Scarlett, but I know a lot of people have a sentimental attachment to V1 Scarlett because she was essentially one of the original, is it 13 figures released? Was it 13 G.I. Joes released on the original wave? But she was the first female, so I know she's got an integral part in G.I. Joe mythology or history. But yeah, I really like this version that I'm seeing here. Let's talk about the box first. So the box, can't say I'm really a fan of this portrait of Scarlett. It doesn't really look very cool. I think that's one area where the V1 Scarlett portrait just kills it, because that was an awesome face for Scarlett. If I had a choice, I'd take that face from the V1 file card. That would be the perfect Scarlett face, I think. But I'm willing to compromise here. I mean, I can live with what they've given us. But this picture just doesn't look very attractive at all, you know. The side picture shows Scarlett in some different scenarios. So you've got the main, don't know if it's not coming up on the camera here. Sorry if the light's a bit weird, but you've got the main portrait of Scarlett. Then you've got her doing her martial arts because she's highly skilled in martial arts. I guess that's her in her covert look. But I'm not really feeling this box art personally. But on the back, however, this is the real shit, man. Now this to me is G.I. Joe. You know, you've got all the cool characters there that have been released so far, except the Alley Vipers up here. Those haven't been released yet, although there have been rumoured prototypes of those. You can check those out. Hopefully they're true and we'll get them soon. But yeah, this is G.I. Joe, man. This is the action, man. This is where it's at. And that portrait of Scarlett's okay. Except a lot of people complained, why has she got a blonde streak as well? I don't think that's really necessary because she's called Scarlett. She's supposed to have red hair, you know. But yeah, that's G.I. Joe, man. So that's the box view, and let's talk a little bit about the figure. But before I do, let's talk about Scarlett's bio because again, collecting G.I. Joe and Transformers in the 1980s, or even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, one of the great things for me about those figure lines is that the characters came with bios, which gave you some ideas about who the character was or what they were capable of and their specialities, like their field of speciality or whatever. So let's talk about G.I. Joe in the same light. So let me read Scarlett's V1 file card. Her function is counterintelligence, codename Scarlett, and the name is O'Hara Shanna. And I believe that's supposed to be based on the character from Gone with the Wind. Was her name Scarlett O'Hara, the main character in Gone with the Wind? But in G.I. Joe, I guess Larry Hama named her Shanna O'Hara, which is a throwback to Gone with the Wind because, you know, Scarlett. Anyway, so it's a Shanna O'Hara M. It's got a serial number. Primary military specialty is intelligence. Secondary military specialty is classified. Well, that makes sense because this is a G.I. Joe classified. Ha ha. Birthplace, Atlanta, Georgia, and she's a grade E5. It says Scarlett's father and 3 brothers were martial arts instructors. She began her training at age 9 and was awarded her first black belt at age 15. Graduated advanced infantry training in Ranger School, Special Ed Covert Ops School, Marine Sniper School, Special Air Service School, Marine Taekwondo Symposium, qualified expert in M4, M16, M19, 11A1, M79, M31A, M700 Remington sniper rifle. So Scarlett's good from a distance, man. She can snipe people. It says Mac 10 XK, 1 power crossbow, throwing stars, garrote, and carbar. So what they've included with Scarlett in this figure, you've got a crossbow, which is her signature weapon. For some crazy reason, in the 1980s, they had in G.I. Joe in particular, they had a thing about giving female characters guns, which is why some of the females have some odd weapons. Like they gave Scarlett a crossbow, they gave Lady J a spear thrower. So, you know, some stupid crazy rule, but Scarlett's actually supposed to be really good with a sniper rifle and M14, M16s. Yeah, but she's also got so this is a power crossbow, as you can see here, and she's supposed to be good with throwing stars, which she keeps on her sleeve here. So she's got some shuriken there, throwing stars, and she's also got some other accessories which we'll talk about. But it says Scarlett is confident and resilient. It's remarkable that a person so deadly can still retain a sense of humour. So that's Scarlett, and I've got to say, in the G.I. Joe comics, I was a big fan of this character. She was really, really cool in the comic. I think she was very well written, and she was shown as being a very capable member of the G.I. Joe team. So let's talk about what she's got going for her. First of all, let's start with her articulations. So, articulation-wise, she's not too bad, but being one of the early figures in the line, there's a few things which have been improved upon now, but I'll make a point of them. But I'll make another point as well. I really wanted this original release Scarlett rather than a redeco because, as I said, I think the colour combinations on this figure are much more appealing to me, and the face sculpt is also a lot nicer because the face sculpt on this one actually has the freckles, which some people say isn't part of Scarlett's character, but for me, I can live with it. It's cool, man. Some people say her face looks too young, but I'm cool with it, you know. Again, if I had a choice, I'd take the file card portrait face of Scarlett. Actually, let me put that on the camera, so if you guys want to know what I'm talking about, it will make sense. So give me a second while I pull it up on my phone, and hopefully it will show on the camera. But yeah, in the comics, Scarlett was very, very good, and I also loved her relationship with Snake Eyes because I think the pairing of Snake Eyes and Scarlett is much more appealing to me than the pairing of Scarlett and Duke. Because in the G.I. Joe animated series, they paired Scarlett with Duke, and that relationship always seemed a bit forced to me. It didn't seem sincere and genuine Whereas with Snake Eyes, there's real sort of I really like that combination, Snake Eyes and Scarlett. So bear with me while I pull this portrait up here. Forgive me, I should have pulled it up on the phone before. I didn't think of that, but alright, so just pulling it up here. There she is. So if I put that on the screen, let me show. There we go. So this is the portrait for Scarlett's V1 figure, and I think if they'd have given us this face sculpt, I mean, because she kind of looks like serious and dangerous, that's a really good portrait of Scarlett. But I mean, I love all these vintage G.I. Joe file card portraits. They're just so cool. But that's how she looked in the portrait of her V1 figure. So if they'd have given us that head, I think I would have preferred it more. But I still don't mind what they have given us, because it's not too bad for me. So articulation wise, she can look left and right, up and down. Her arms can rotate 360 there. Now she can move upwards laterally, but only that far because the shoulder pad blocks the rest of her movement. But on this arm she can go a bit further, I think. Yeah, she can go right up with the right arm, but this blocks the left arm. She can she's got no upper bicep cut. She has an elbow joint which allows elbow swivel, which is fine. But she's only got a single jointed elbow, so that means she can only bend her arms that far. Now that's a fault of the early figures, because Scarlett and Baroness also only have a single elbow bend, but they corrected this with more recent female figure, which was Lady J, although that did have some problems, which I'll talk about when I review her. She's got a wrist rotation, yeah, and she's got a in and out rock motion on her fist, so she can go in and out like that rather than up and down. And it's the same on both hands, I believe. Or is it? No, on her right hand it's an up and down. Yeah, right hand is up and down rocking motion. So that's interesting. She can go up and down on this hand and in and out on the other. Now she has an torso cut, which allows for swiveling and for bending back quite far, but not so much bending forward. And I can't bend forward too far. Now her legs, she's got drop down hips. Drop down hips are common on these G.I. Joe figures, so if you drop the hips down you can get a further spread, but not that much further. She can go that far in the splits. She can go forward that much. Actually, she can do quite a high kick forward, which is good for a character like Scarlett, who's a martial artist. Backwards not very far at all, because the bottom hinders it. She's got an upper thigh rotation here, so that's cool. Double jointed knees, which is great. That's a real help because she can really get a good deep knee bend. She has an lower, what do you call that? Lower leg cut for rotation, and she can move up and down on her feet, and she's got some slight ankle rocker as well. So she's quite well articulated. It's just a shame that she doesn't have double jointed elbows, but that's not the end of the world. I mean, you've still got quite a lot to work with in terms of articulating her. So she's pretty cool. I'm really feeling this figure. Right, so we're going to talk about her accessories, because her accessories are okay. Although one thing I would like is if a lot of these G.I. Joes actually came with a sidearm and a holster. I think every Joe should have a sidearm and a handgun at least, you know. But Scarlett does have some things to defend herself with. I guess she's trained in silent weapons. So what you get is she has a holster here which can sheath 3 knives. So the first knife, you can tuck it in the front knife sheath. You can take that out. That's pretty cool. She can hold that. Let's give it to her. Now she can hold that knife very well, so that's pretty cool. She also has 2 knives in the back of her sheath, along with some crossbow bolts, arrows. So the two knives that come in the sheath are slightly different to the one in the front. They've got a slightly longer blade and a serrated edge at the back. She can also hold that very well. No problems holding these knives at all. And they do stay securely in the sheath, which is good, because with the Snake Eyes figure, the knife does have a tendency to fall out if you've got the Redeco Snake Eyes, which is the one I've got. Just trying to get the knife in her hand here, so you can see her holding it. So there she's got two knives, which is cool. And this can be removable if you want. You can take this off by just lifting up the shoulder, and you can pull it over her head. So if you want to take the knife sheath off, you can. Like, say for example she gets captured by a cobra, you can take the knife sheath off and have her without it, so that's alright. She does actually also have a peg hole in her back, so if you want to put another character's backpack, you can do that very easily with her. So let me put the knife sheath back on. There we go. So you can pose her quite well with these knives. Let's talk about a crossbow. A crossbow actually comes in two parts. In the box, I believe it's packaged this way, if I remember correctly. You just simply plug this onto here and attach the little thread part at the back, and that completes the crossbow. To be honest, it's okay, but I wonder why they just didn't use a bit of glue and keep it together, because you know, it kind of looks ridiculous without the actual crossbow part attached to the gun holster. But I don't know, maybe they just made it two parts and couldn't be bothered to glue it. You can glue it yourself if you want to. I just haven't bothered yet, but I might do. But it doesn't really fall apart too much, but just something. So she can hold that also very well. Take the knives out of her hands. Put them back in the sheath. And once again, equip her with the crossbow. And there you have it. So there's Scarlett. There you go with the crossbow. So this part on her waist always flips around, but I think the buckle's supposed to be at the front with the gold part. So there you have classified Scarlett. Let's zoom in a bit. Now you can get her in some really awesome poses too. So let's try, like, you can get her crouched down, ready to shoot the crossbow. Yeah, I really like this figure a lot. And again, I didn't really think that Scarlett would be one of the ones I'd be most impressed with in Wave 1, because Wave 1 does have some heavy hitters. You know, you've got Roadblock, Snake Eyes, Destro, but and Duke also. But Scarlett, this version of Scarlett, yeah, I really like this a lot. And a lot of fans are hoping that we get another version of Scarlett, which is more closer to the actual 83, it's 82 or 83, roughly around 82 or 83 when G.I. Joe came out, the original vintage design. But we'll see if that happens. We'll see if that happens, and if it does happen, we'll see what it brings to the table. But if they don't, I don't think I'd lose any sleep over that, because this Scarlett is pretty cool for my personal needs at this particular moment in time. So let's do some comparison, shall we? I had the Baroness somewhere. There she is. So what I'm going to do is, before I do this rotation thing, let me just do some comparisons so you can see how she looks amongst other figures. And I also didn't measure how... Oh, there goes the Baroness. I also didn't measure her, because I should be telling you how tall she is. But this is a 6-inch scale figure, so she's going to be around the 6-inch mark. So let's just test that out with the tape. Forgive me, I always forget to do that. So she stands at just about 6¼ inches, which is cool. Absolutely cool. So let's get her companion Snake Eyes here and see how they look together. scale wise. Yeah. See, this is the thing, man. When you get a couple of figures together, this is when they really start to come to life. So there she is with Snake Eyes, and when I see these two together, my first thought is the silent issue, which is, you know, now a legendary issue of the G.I. Joe comic where there's no words involved whatsoever, and like there's no speech bubbles, but Scarlett is captured and Snake Eyes goes in to rescue her. I mean, that's one of the great G.I. Joe comic issues, and it's now legendary because that's where the Owashikage symbol was revealed on both Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow's arms, showing that they had a prior connection, which is really, really cool, and it's become stuff of legend now. But yeah, so that's the first thing I think of when I see these two together. So as I said, I think Scarlett was the second figure I got, so it's really good to have Snake Eyes and Scarlett, because they're, to me, it's one of the great G.I. Joe couplings, like Flint and Lady J, or Destro and the Baroness. Speaking of the Baroness, here she is, and the Baroness came out around the same time as Scarlett, early on in a G.I. Joe classified line, so they have the same articulation pretty much. So there's how Scarlett looks with the Baroness. I think that's cool. Height wise, they look really, really cool together. Let's throw Duke in there, in case any of you want to do a more Sunbow, Marvel Sunbow type pairing, where Scarlett and Duke are romantically paired. So here's Duke, who stands just a tad taller than Snake Eyes, I think. But if I move Snake Eyes to the back, and I put Duke here, I mean, this is the thing, man. When you get a couple of figures together, then this line really, like with most toy lines, man, once you start to get 3 or 4 figures, it starts to look like a real thing, rather than just, oh, I've got a Scarlett and oh, I've got a Snake Eyes, or, you know. But that, to me, height wise and look wise, I think these figures all look great together. To me, this is what I grew up with, man. 80s G.I. Joe. So what I'll do is a few more comparisons, actually, because height wise, if you're so inclined, you could combine your G.I. Joe with other toy lines at the 6-inch scale, such as Marvel Legends. So just as an example, you could do I'll take a Power Rangers Lightning Collection figure here, take you out, take you out, take you out. So if I put Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Lightning Collection Trini, you can see they scale pretty well. You know, height wise, they're pretty. I think Trini is probably just a tad shorter, but that's fine because she's supposed to be a teenager at the end of the day. And let's do a Marvel Legend. So if I take this Marvel Legends MJ, it should be roughly around the same scale. Yeah. So if you want to combine G.I. Joe with Power Rangers Lightning or Marvel Legends, you can indeed do that, and it will fit. It will look pretty good. And yeah, so that's pretty cool, man. I'm very happy with that. What I'll do is I'll put on a rotation and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so there you have it. That's my review of the G.I. Joe classified Scarlett figure, the V1 version, the first release, not the redeco. So what are my final thoughts? My final thoughts are that I'm very happy with this figure, and I'm also happy that I was able to track down this original release version, because the one that's at retail at the moment, and if I'm not mistaken on most websites such as BBTS or Hasbro Pulse, they're selling the redeco version. So I specifically went on eBay and found a seller who was selling a original boxed unopened first release Scarlett. So these are going to become a little bit more difficult to find because the redeco one is the one that's being produced now. So I'm very grateful that I was able to find this one for a good price. And and it ticks all the boxes that I need. I mean, this is a good enough Scarlett for me at this point in time. I don't mind the gold accents on this particular figure, and I actually like this redesign of her costume. She seems a little bit more appealing to me now than her 1983 costume counterpart. But if Hasbro does decide to make another Scarlett figure, I'll be open-minded to what they offer. But really, it would be the face that I'd be looking to have an improvement on in terms of sculpting, because, as I said, I think the original file card portrait of Scarlett was spot on. That was one of the best parts about that figure. I never liked the costume, but the face sculpt, the face portrait on the card was excellent. Or even if they gave us something closer to the original comics, because Scarlett was a real badass in that, and you know, she looked the part. Some fans have complained that this figure's hair is ginger and not scarlet. I'd agree, but again, I can live with it. You know, her head really should be, her hair really should be a deep red if she's called Scarlett. Otherwise, articulation-wise, I can live with the single jointed elbows. It's a good thing that Hasbro have gone back and updated that for future release figures. So I'm not going to bash this figure for having single jointed elbows, because that's an issue that's already been corrected by Hasbro going forward, and hopefully we'll see on any future female figures they'll have elbows that actually work, because I actually had a problem with my Lady J figure, which I'll talk about when I get to do a review of her. But yeah, there was an issue with her where her elbows was fused together, like her right elbow just would not bend. So I ended up actually having to buy another Lady J, which is a shame, but at the end of the day, Lady J is a favourite character of mine anyway. But so I didn't mind too much. But yeah, this Scarlett figure's great, and she really completes Snake Eyes. You know, as I said, I like Snake Eyes and Scarlett as together as a couple. So yeah, she was definitely one I wanted, because Snake Eyes is one of my favourite characters. So she helps expand upon him. You know, having these two in the collection is really cool. So I'd give her a solid 7 out of 10. Only reason why I'm giving her a 7 is because of the elbows. If she had the elbows, I'd give her an 8. If she had double jointed elbows, I'd give her an 8. But otherwise, I'm very happy with this figure, and I'd recommend her to any G.I. Joe fan. And yeah, let's hope that Hasbro continues to give us more of these classified figures. We've heard rumours that there might be some figures slated for 2022, such as Crockmaster, Tomax and Zaymot, Dusty, Zorana. She's one that I definitely want to get. So hopefully, if Zorana is upcoming, they can give us some good articulation as they did with Lady J, and keep this bus of G.I. Joe Classified moving forward. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that review. I'd recommend this figure, as I said, if you're a G.I. Joe fan. I think this is a cool figure, man. She can pose well, and she's just a lot of fun overall. But yeah, on to the next review. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and I hope you continue to find my videos enjoyable, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care for now.